All right. Happy Sunday, you guys. Welcome to another episode
Happy Sunday.
of TCSTV. All right. So today, I told you guys this is Man Camp 2019. I have a full panel of men here who are going to be here to answer all kinds of questions that are going on, and we're going to
Awesome.
make it right, nice and smooth, real quick. Travell, glad to have you aboard, my good sir.
What's going on? What's going
Welcome,
on?
welcome.
You was on. All right. So before I get started, let me go ahead and do my thing. Y'all hold tight for me just 1 second.
Welcome, everybody, to the Common Sense Show TV, featuring your host, Terry Little. Recorded on location in Twin Falls, Idaho. We hope you enjoy the show.
All right, and welcome back to the episode today. Listen, you guys, I told you I'm very excited about this episode because this is the episode. My goal is to help as many women and men too as I possibly can.
Mhm.
Because, like I said in my video on yesterday, you're right, just in the back here. Okay, so that's kind of where I want to be. Um, and so my goal is to have as many women as we can, and as many men as we can. Um, because I really feel like if we see the struggle in front of us, I think we can kind of head off at the past and make better choices and decisions.
Good.
So before I get started, I want to introduce my panel of men here that I have to my I'm not sure it's my military left or my military right, but it's Pastor Gregory Stella out of Mississippi. He's the pastor of Tribe of Judah Ministries down in Mississippi with his wife, Pastor Michelle. They are so awesome. I've been knowing them for about 3 or 4 years on Periscope, and we are just glad to have you aboard. He is part of the men's panel. I have, and left, to his left, I have Andrew MacArthur out of Twin Falls, Idaho, right next to me. He is our worship leader at our Jerome campus. He is, yeah. You guys do me a favor, go ahead and mute your mic for me. 'Cause I'm catching everybody's background.
Yeah, I'm hearing that too. So that's something that we can mute T,
I
or
got you.
will you mute us? Okay,
I got you.
thanks. All right.
All right. There's Horace. He's coming tad late. It's all right though. It's all right. Thanks, honey. She's putting me on game here. I'll wait for him to come on, and then we'll mute his mic as well. All right. So I have Andrew, who is the praise and worship leader at our Jerome campus with Believers Church here in Idaho. Awesome man of God. He's gonna give it to you real raw. He ain't gonna play no games with you. He ain't finna sugarcoat nothing. He finna hold your hand, do nothing. He gonna tell you the truth. All right. And then my man down at the bottom, because Horace hadn't come up yet, in the black hat, my power guy. Mr. Travell C.W. Lynch. He is the author of the book that he just published here on Amazon, What is Enough? And he is just my man, 50 grand. And I know he had a book release party last night. And I heard about you, boy. I heard about you, boy. And so I'm proud of you, man. I'm glad you're doing your thing. And then we got Ramon, Mr. Ramon King, down in Jacksonville, Florida. He is a street evangelist, which is hard to do in any ministry, to go out in the street among with people that you don't know, and you're gonna get all kind of reactions from people. And Ramon, let me first say, I commend you, my brother. I tried to do street evangelism once, and no, not my thing. Let me do it from the pulpit inside the church. That's me. But I thoroughly commend you, and I hope that you continue to do that down in Jacksonville, because Florida is one of those states, man. We all need it, but for one of the states. And as soon as Horace shows his picture, we'll get him on too. All right, so tonight is Man Camp, you guys. Those of you who are watching on Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, Young Baptist Network, we're talking about this is Man Camp that we were talking about. So tonight we're going to answer all the questions that women want to hear. Now I have a list. I don't know about anybody else on the panel, but I have a list of questions. And so what I figured we would do is to go just one at a time, and we'll pick off the questions on one at a time. So So what I need for you, everybody who's watching, if you're watching this, I need for you to shoot your questions in the comments so that way I can pull those up. Everybody look up and smile for a screenshot. Chris said, look up, smile, everybody smile for a screenshot. Okay. So I hope you got that. All right. So all right. So one of the questions that we're going to tackle, let me see if I've got, because Melissa, she is on Facebook. Let me check out Periscope here. Hold on one second for me. All right, here we go. All right. So one of the first questions that I got, I was, and what happened with you guys, and maybe you can help me here. I was watching the video, and there was a young man who was proposing to his significant other or his girlfriend, and she said no, right in the middle of the proposal. So the first question that came to my mind was, if you were the guy, would it be over, or would you stay? Who wants to answer that? Andrew? All right, Andrew. Get the floor, sir.
So believe it or not, my wife told me no like 4 times.
Wow.
Right? And we've been married, 13 years now, going strong. Really, I don't know. With her, it was just like, no, it's way too soon, dude. Back up a little bit, because I knew what I wanted, but she was still, young and wanted to still do more things than to be caught up in a marriage. And so I don't know. For me, it was just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna keep trying. I mean, you're not gonna take off on me. I'm not gonna let you go. But yeah, no, dude. If it's important to you, you're gonna stick around. You're gonna keep her on the leash. You're gonna keep her hooked. If it's not, then you're not. I've told that to several of our young adults in our ministry and stuff too. Is if it's important to you, you're gonna keep that investment going, and you're gonna stay positive in that relationship. You're gonna stay connected in that relationship, because the minute you start pulling back, that's the minute that she basically at that point, with the test of no, will accept the fact that you just gave up and I'm going to move on.
Terry, let me chime in. It's very interesting, and I love your response, Andrew. I love women, I think, value persistence. And I'm not talking about a stalking kind of a persistence, but if you're really into me, now there's some guys you already know, you've already set this up. So an engagement or presenting a ring should not be a total surprise. There should be some indicators already that, well, she's ready to do this, I'm ready to do it. If you haven't talked about it and you're presenting a ring, that's an issue. You haven't communicated on a certain level. But let's look at nature. And I'm not saying that we're animals or we're to pattern ourselves after animal, but let's say I'm trying to think of the animals that will do this. Lions, for example. First of all, a male lion has to fight off a certain amount of males. He may be ran off several times by the leader of the pack, of the pride, the father, the daddy figure of the pride. He may run him off a number of times. But if he has to persist, the next thing is that he may have to fight off other males, but he keeps following her. And it's once she chooses to follow him, they're going to encounter other male lions who are also on the prowl. And she keeps moving the whole time. She's moving forward. She may wait for him to fight for somebody, but she's going to keep moving. And it's only if he persists in following. You can't get thrown off by people who want to fight with you. Can't get thrown off by any other thing. You can't get distracted from the goal. And so if that happens in nature, and there are other life forms in nature that practice the same thing, buffalo, you have to continue to persist in order to obtain the prize. If you really want it, you got to work on it.
You know, that's always been a thing. But let me, before I say anything else, let me welcome in Horace, who just came in a little late. What up, Horace? You going? I'll say. You go ahead.
Can you?
Oh,
All right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
yes, sir. Yep.
All right. Yeah. What's going on, you guys?
Not a lot. Not a lot. I want to introduce Horace real quick. Horace is a realtor out of California. Him and Travell, I think are tight. The last picture I saw, those two, it was like having a nice little bromance happening. So I was like, oh, let me go ahead and invite Horace too. So here we are. All right. So we're looking for everybody's input. That was the first question. Did you want to add anything to that, Horace? Did you hear the question?
Nothing yet. Nothing yet. I just got in here and trying to figure out where we at. Trying to make sure I got
All right.
this working correct right now.
So, oh, you got it. You're on now. So we got the first question that we asked was,
Okay, got
there was a young man. It was a video. It was a young man who was proposing to his significant other, his girlfriend, and she told him no. The question was, as a man, do you stay after she says no, or do you keep pursuing?
I would keep pursuing. I mean, the main thing is you said for you actually if you I feel you knew what you wanted to do. No matter if she says no or not, you still have to figure out what's behind the no. What was the reason for her saying no? Because I believe it's more than it's not just when someone gives you a no, it's just an objection. So obviously they have something that's blocking. Now you got to figure out what's blocking them from moving forward or saying yes. Once you figure out what's blocking them, then you can work on that, and then the yes will come. That's what I believe.
You know, I heard someone else say that, and I was talking to some female friends of mine. Who's that? I'm hearing. It's gonna be. And so what I heard someone else say, well, maybe the woman knew that he wasn't ready to be a husband and said no, or you know, it could be any number of things, but that's one of the biggest things that I heard. Maybe she knew that he wasn't ready to be a husband, and she said no.
Hey Terry, let me. I don't mean to eat all of the pie, but because that's what we do, relationship, spiritual relationship, and that's what we talk about. I don't know how many marriages I've performed, but it's been a lot of them. So we've had a lot of different experience in that area. And one of the things that we see that people will do is that they will present a ring after they've had a falling out, you know? And so there's no front work. You haven't made up, you haven't fixed whatever the problem we were having. Maybe, and here it is. Let me lay it down. A lot of times people don't want to work. They won't work. And if you don't have a job, she should say no. If you are falling out with her, if you're beating her behind the scenes, if you're talking, calling her everything but a child of God, then she out to say no. It's her wisdom in doing so. So and I'm not against the brother. I'm just saying that you have to make sure all of these things, are we on good terms? Have I done the things that I know that you need to know? Because women need to know they're protected. They need to know they're going to be provided for. And not that they can't provide for themselves. A lot of women want to work. They want to have their own stuff. That's the times that we live in. But if brothers laying around and playing video games, and I'm not to be hard on my brothers, but I'm the oldest one, and this gray hair tells you something. Blessed to see 63 last week. And so I know that we live in an age where a lot of times people don't want to work. Sometimes they can't get the job that they want. But anyway, that's it in a nutshell, is that we have to make sure that everything's on the up and up before we pop the question.
Travell, I see your brain frying over there. Let's go. Unmute yourself, brother.
All right, so I'm unmuted now.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so to answer the question, I mean, I agree with everything that's been said. If she says no, um, you have to kind of understand what that no is, because right, because if you're proposing and the no is a no to the proposal, but we can continue in our relationship, then absolutely it's not over. And you don't, I mean, for me, so whenever I would give advice or give my opinion, right, it's what I've done or what I would do. So to answer the question, is it over? It's depending on what that no is. If I'm down on one knee and I'm proposing with a ring, and you're saying no to marriage, but let's still roll, let's still kick it, let's still date, then okay, then you're not ready for that level. You're not ready for that step, and we can continue with the relationship. But if the no is a no to the marriage, and I don't ever see that being in the cards for us, then okay, then that's an indication for us to now look at or to explore. We need to, possibly end the relationship, because if you're a man who wants marriage and that's not in the cards for her, then it's time for you to now start to evaluate. Okay, if that's not in the cards for you realistically, I liken it to when couples come together and one of the parties want children and the other one don't want children. That's a good indication, that you guys need to really sit down and say, okay, how much energy, time, am I going to invest in this relationship, knowing out the gate one isn't for something that the other one is for. So really, to answer that question, it just depends on what she's saying no to. If it's a no to the marriage, but a yes to the relationship, then you continue on. But if it's a no to the marriage, because I don't foresee that ever being in the cards for me, then that's when you need to evaluate whether or not you even continue with that relationship.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next question. This next question was sent by Mrs. MacArthur, and she says, "How do I best support your mental and emotional health? How does a woman uh, best support mental and emotional health?" Andrew, that's your wife. We're gonna start with you.
Well, we had a chance to talk about this while we were camping this weekend. We've actually done a lot of like self growing this year, so to speak, and it's coming from a Christian point of view, religious point of view, to say any sort of self help or self progression is kind of taboo. But really, I actually came to a place where I struggled with who was I really, who it came down to a lot of what I was doing in my life, like I was doing for the support of my family. And really there was the daily grind, and I wasn't able to do, still not yet either, not able to do what I know that God was calling me to do in full. And so I struggled with depression just internally for a while, because as men, we're not allowed to really talk about the fact that, hey, I'm struggling with depression. I'm struggling with the fact that I'm not allowed to say that I'm not really happy right now. As men, we actually have to just bolster up and throw it away, smile, nod, and just get moving. And so she caught on to that with me, and has been trying to learn, how do I fix this? Because sex doesn't always help. Um, Conversation even sometimes doesn't always help. And so what she's started doing with me is recognizing, uh, when I just have time where I need a few minutes alone. She's like, look, it's okay. Just take your time and then come back to me and we'll talk. But honestly, that's a question that we're really kind of diving in to try to figure out ourselves. So I can't really, besides explaining where the question came from, I can't really answer it because I don't know right now either.
Anybody want to chime in on that? No.
Terry, let me jump just for a moment. Uh, we have to, I think, as men, uh, do a little bit better at communicating. And Andrew makes a very valid point, is that we are not used to, or we're not encouraged to share our feelings, because somehow that equates with weakness. And we have to do a better job at communicating to our mates, because they're the closest one to us. They're going to see things that we don't see. And it takes, I think, a lot to learn to value what my wife brings to the table. That she sees the better in me, she sees the worst in me. She knows what it's going to take to push me to the next level. Uh, and so I have to learn to value good feedback. And she's good at, she will notice things that I don't notice. She asked me last night on my second piece of cake, have you tested your blood sugar lately? And so when someone loves you, that's one of the ways of communicating love, when you're concerned about all of my health.
Here. That is absolutely correct. So what we're gonna do right here, really quick, we'll take a pause for the cause. I gotta pay the bills. So hold on 1 second for me. All right, fellas. All right.
I stay cooler than the Chi-Town breeze, but hyper like I'm at the World Cup overseas. Do rag for waves with me, gotta stay fresh. I never leave home without it like American Express. I'm feeling kinda old school. How about you? If you're feeling how I'm feeling, this is what you do. Throw it up, 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 throw it up.
All right. Thank you for that. I just want to. I gotta pay the bills. They make me do it. They make me do it. All right. So one more thing I want to do real quick is, you guys, for me, if you're watching this, smash that like button on Facebook so we can get this whole thing popping and cracking on the Young Black Panthers Network. All right. So is there any other responses to that particular question? Because I have one right there at the bottom of the screen. Ramon got his he got the whole head nod checking thing going. So we're gonna go ahead and unmute him real quick. Ramon.
Um, that's a good topic, man. It kind of goes back to what the two elders were saying. You know, I call you elders, man, because you're definitely older than I am. But yeah, I mean, it does go back to the factor of knowing exactly what your mate wants. Again on that mental aspect. I've been married now going on 8 years, so to me that's still fresh. That's still like that first 2 years. To where by me having my daughter at my first year in my marriage, there were still some things that I was with my wife a year before we got married. So there were still some things that I was still trying to learn more about her, even to this day. So when I have that aspect of saying, okay, I come home at the long day of working, whatever the case may be, and I'll see her say something that'll challenge my mental telepathy for a second, that challenge my mindset, and I'm like, dude, I'm still doing my own thing in my head. I'm still, my mind is still at work. So when I get home, I'm like, okay, I got to just take off the work mind and put on the husband mind, and then put on the dad mind. As you can see, the little one is always running around. So when I look at it that way, I can I see both sides of the fence, and I definitely see it, especially as me being a young man myself, 32 years old, and I'm understanding more with wisdom and knowledge comes in time. So it's more of, the woman is always 3 steps ahead of us. A lot of men don't want to kind of acknowledge that, but what I'm learning is they're always ahead of you. So it's kind of like you got to kind of take that seat and sit back and just analyze the situation. So that's just my little 2 cents. I can't add too much into that, so I'm still learning. But I greatly appreciate the two wisdoms that's coming up top. So definitely needed.
Well, that's what's up. I appreciate that. Now I'm gonna go back to the question that was posted up on the from Miss Creola. Um, and I would like for everybody to chime on this. I'm gonna start with you, Ramon, with this one. And the question is, now I hope she's asking that question in form of, how does a man know he's met the right person?
Yeah.
Uh, that's how I'm gonna read it. If it's different ways, she'll probably chime in a little bit. But the question was, how do you know when you have met the right person? Now all of us are married. Horace, you married too, right? Horace? You married?
Yep, I'm currently married. Yeah.
Okay. Oh boy, that's
Uh
the way you
oh.
said that. That was no
Uh
good.
oh.
All right. I rebuke that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So, all
Yes,
right.
I do too. I felt that.
So all of us that are married now, I'm newly married. I'm the newest one married here. I would have been married 7 days after today. How did you know when you met her? When you know she was the right one? How did you know?
All right. This is just me, right? You see my fruit here on Facebook, but behind the scenes, I love to have fun. Um, I love to go out to eat and all these other different things. I met my wife at a pizza location where I was working, and I'm a little on the nutty side at times. I like to have fun, and she said something to me. Was like, I was like, whoa, did she just yell at me like that? But that's just the way she talks. And I was like, yeah, we good, because I'm that same way. Like I'm very spontaneous, but she's to the point where she's spontaneous to the point too as well. But she's very firm. So when I noticed what she was saying and she came off with me a certain type of way, I said, okay, yeah, me and this girl can get along, because there's some out there. I was like, nah. If I say something one way, she may think that I'm just being a little, unnecessary. But that's just me. If you see something and it meshes, you're evenly yoked, then to me, yeah, I think you can go a long way. But still, with time, you'll know. But I believe the Lord will show you right then and there, first off, that is that right for you or not.
JaVale?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. And just keeping it 100, man. I don't think you know, right? And you guys got to forgive me, man, because I'm a word freak. So whenever you use certain words, I go directly to what that word actually means by definition.
What's up,
So
Pastor?
to know, right, to understand and to have a real sense of confidence, I don't think you do. But I think for the context of maybe what the question is asking is, how do you have the highest level of confidence? How do you feel good about your decision? How do you feel good about the person that you're rocking with? And I think that at least for me, they have to be a person that holds certain qualities or certain principles, certain belief systems that honor yours, right? They match up. Obviously, having things in common is a plus. But I think more importantly, they have to have some of those core beliefs, some of those core principles, maybe even some of the core philosophies that you share, because those are the things that's going to keep you when things go hard, right? When things get hard, when things get difficult. Everyone's cool when things are going well. You can rock with almost anybody when times are good, but in terms of being with the right one, meaning, is this a person that I want to spend the rest of my life with? Is this a person that I want to have children with? Is this a person that I want to share the same bank account with, right? That's when you start digging in a little deeper and saying, do you think what I think? Do you believe what I believe? Things like politics, faith, religion, those types of things start to separate and divide. And so kind of doing a checklist of, are we on the same page when it comes to that? So I'll kind of stop it right there so I don't eat up more time. But I think that's how you start to get a good sense of whether or not that's the right person. How much do you share in the principles and the philosophies and the beliefs, not just you like ice cream, I like ice cream. Like that's a good starting spot, but you have to look forward and say, when things get hard, what are those things that are going to ultimately divide us or keep us together? And I think that goes back to those principles.
Yeah, only my wife would put up something about a bank account. I should have known better than that.
Yeah, you got to share.
I still love you, honey.
Right.
I
Yeah.
still love you, honey. All right, Horace.
Yeah. All right. Basically on that question, to know the right, if she's the right person. Um, I would say honestly, right now, I mean, I'm currently in a situation right now, so there's probably another podcast, but I'm currently in a situation right now where I've been separated from my wife. So just to be honest and straight, out there,
What's up?
um,
What happened?
for 2 months.
Okay.
you know, and it's I I honestly believe my wife was was the right person and is the right person for me. Now, because of things like the brother at the top in the middle said, I can't say his name right now on the phone,
That's
but
okay.
he said to about the health, things like that. From the beginning, when I first met my wife, she was worried about my health. She was worried about things like that. She was always checking on me about my health and things like that. And so I look at the things that that they look at, that are meaningful, not surface stuff. She was looking inside, checking things that were vital and were very helpful, and things that we went through the marriage that needed to be stripped away from me as a man. And I knew these things, but didn't want to admit these things that I was battling with inside. So it's like that's when you have. I think that's when you have the right one right there at that at a certain time. It does. I don't think you can know from the beginning, but you have to go through, I would say, sometimes some years before you could really say this is the person I'm supposed to be with. That's how I look at it. I mean, you could say it from the beginning, oh yeah, this is everything, this is beautiful, this, but it takes time before you really honestly, I believe you really honestly know she's the right woman for
You know what? As you were talking now, Horace, I kind of, something hit my spirit real hard when you started talking. And the only thing I have one word for you, and I hear it loudly in my ears, and it's reconciliation. I feel that it's going to come back. That's just what I feel.
you.
And
Right, right.
that's what I heard. That's what I kept hearing as you were talking. That's what I heard. So, but thank you for
Right.
that input. I really do appreciate that. TG Word Ministry on Periscope said, knowing yourself and also knowing what the other person believes, likes, that's how they treat others. And they also come back and say, do they love themselves and love others? Thanks, President and CEO. Devontae, I appreciate you, bro. And a person who genuinely loves and cares. That's how I think
Mhm.
that's what they're saying, that's how you would know. Andrew, you're up.
Well, from a guy that actually, unfortunately, chased girls around a lot when I was younger, I have to say the Bible tells us don't awaken love too early. And too many of us, I think, in society, we're chasing after love too early because of the fact that the culture has pushed that on us. Um, so the one, God will tell you. I mean, that's all I can say. When I met my wife, she was too young in reality. But God told me, hey, you stick around because she's yours. Um, Now, I had been in relationships with other people before that, thinking, oh, well, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. But that part was actually because I awoke love too early. And so I started chasing after the relationships that I had, not because of the deep factor, but because they were friendly, they were cool to be around, and it was a lustful thing. When I met my wife, man, my whole mind changed, my whole brain, my way of thinking about her, my way of wanting to just fulfill every need that she had, just rocked my world. And so even still to this day, 13 years later, she'll ask me, the typical question, where you want to go to dinner? And it's like, baby, I'll go wherever you want.
Yeah.
Like,
What do you want to
it
eat?
doesn't matter to me. All I want to do is serve you. And it took me a minute. I think we were about 8 years in, kind of like what I think it was Horace, you were saying. You just don't always know sometimes until years later. I we had a situation where we were discussing some things, and out of the moment I just said, I got to be right back, and I brought a bowl of water in and I washed her feet in symbolism of, hey, I'm the leader of this home, I'm the head of this house, but as a leader, I serve you and I serve my family. And that at that moment I realized in my heart of hearts that she was the one. But when we were dating, it was one of those, I had to check myself with her, because it was like there's nothing about this one that was the same as the others, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And Pastor G.
Wow, some really great responses on that question. Like everybody kind of thought about this, and Horace, I have some experiences in that area. Hey, Horace, I want to say I'm sorry about your situation, man, and want to urge you to persist. Do those things, and man. I think that one of the greatest issues in relationships is always, and we talk about it here on our broadcast almost every single night that we broadcast: communication, sex, and finances. The fourth area is always having a work ethic. And I think one of the things when we see all four of those working now, we hopefully we want to follow the advice of Andrew. And because I'm a pastor, I'm about to say, try not to get the sex part in there too soon. What messes up most or what hurts most relationships before they have a chance to get started is when sex enters the picture. When sex enters the picture, everything changes. I mean, it gets crazy from that point on. You can't do anything right from that point because the love has been awakened, or that sexual element has taken place too soon. And so we have to, and we live in a society where, as men, sometimes we're evaluating what a man can do based upon his ability to be sexual. And that's why you have 12 and 13-year-old guys out there trying to hit it, on the playground with your daughters and mine. Okay. That's what's happening, is that we're defining manhood based on the ability to be sexual, not to hold a job, not to be able to carry on and communicate, not those other areas to provide, but the ability to be sexual. Same thing is happening with our young ladies. And so when I think that I really into this person could really, when sex happens, things get crazy, and that's a fact. That's a fact. And so we have to deal with that. How do I know? How do I know? That many questions have been dedicated to that one. Most people are looking for something spectacular to happen. Well, it was raining. I mean, it would rain so hard when I first saw her across the crowded room. My God, my heart skipped a beat. All of those classic love songs and things that we believe happens when someone is for us. But the fact is, the real test is when we have a rough day. How do we get through the rough patches? How do we deal with the stuff? Because some stuff gonna come. If you're dealing with another person, there are very few people who can have an argument with themselves in the room. But when you introduce another person, there are going to be some issues. And we have to be willing to work through those. And we can work through them while we're single. If we get through some stuff while we're single, then there's a good possibility. The other issue, very quickly, is knowing what that person needs. Some women, because they have an education, they have a job. There are some things that are not going to so-called, let me see if I can use the right word, ring their bell. That isn't gonna, you're bringing me stuff. I can get my own stuff. I need somebody that's going to talk to me. And so we have to find out what they really want. What is your love language? Well, I gave the other one this. That's that, why are you not with that one? If you gave them that and they were happy, if that's what it took, I'm not them. So we have to understand that every person is an individual. We have different needs and we communicate different. Thank you, Terry.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to piggyback off the sex thing. For me, what I found out over my 44 years on this planet is that when you having sex too early, it brings those what is it, the soul tie. to people. And soul ties never work. They seem to drag you down. It took me, 15, 20 years to release a lot of my soul ties from people because I just thought because their sex was the bomb that they were mine. You know what I'm saying? Which is so false, so false. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next question here because Devontae has given me the free reign. So as long as you guys can stay on, I'm gonna stay on. But when another question that I had or that I received because I'm gonna save the monster question for the last question. So when we get to the monster question, when we get to the last question, you're gonna know because I'm gonna say, all right, fellas, y'all gear up. Yeah, and whoever's watching this, if you haven't shared this video yet, you want to share it because the monster question is coming up. I'm gonna surprise you guys in a second, but the monster question is coming up. So here's a question that I got from a young lady that runs in my circle, and she says, um, "Why do some men have the mentality of I don't want you, but can't nobody else have you?" Who wants to start there? Not everybody. Not everybody chose to Ramon. Okay.
Well, my wife's sitting here listening, and she
Leave it
says,
to
"Yeah, because it sounds like a player." But yeah, it does sound like a player. It kind of sounds like a man is saying, "Well, if Peter, Paul, and Almond Joy can't have you, then I ain't you. You can't do it." And I see that so much, especially down here in the South. You see that a lot.
hmm
I think one reason for it, again, like my wife said, a player. Then also you get a lot of men, not all men, but you get a lot of
Yeah.
men that has that testosterone pill in them, to where they just puffed up like cavemen, to where it's like, okay, me, and if you don't go do A, B, and C when I get back, I tell you what, you can leave. Ain't nobody gonna want you. And I'm like, whoa, and it's like that's when we got to ease back. But I think that's one reason for it. So I'm gonna just leave it at there. I think a lot of guys like to try to play that PIMP move.
Hey, that's true. And I used to be one of those guys. I used to be that guy. I used
Mhm.
to be that guy that be like, yeah, I don't. But then I'll be, I don't want you. But then as soon as I find out you're dating somebody else, I'm stalking. You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy. It goes back to that old saying is of ladies that a man does not miss his water until his well run dry. That's what. So please understand that. So if y'all don't catch anything else, ladies, catch that. That men will. We talk that talk. We don't walk that walk though. We don't walk it like we talk it, right, Ramon?
Terry, there's a songwriter that said, "Nothing but the dog getting
Ain't
me."
that what
That-
we got to get it. We got to get it. Andrew. Now, and I'm gonna say this because Andrew's on here, and I think I can say this to Andrew because we're church family. I don't think does that go on in your community? Let me unmute you. Hello.
Well, in the drug community, absolutely. It's possessiveness. I I saw it a lot, of course, in high school. I mean, everybody tries to do that. I need my girl. But really, it's strong in the drug community here, for sure. And like I said, it's because it's possessiveness. If I can't have you, ain't nobody gonna have you. But um, it's also prevalent. I've had to deal with some of that, even in my own ministry, with some of the guys that have lost people and stuff, and it's like, well, I gotta get them back. No, dude, you need to leave them the heck alone. you know, and even in my circle, for me personally, every girl that I dated, besides my wife, had all cheated on me, had walked out on our relationship at one point or another. So I was the guy hanging back, going, whoa, what the heck, dude? You know, and I did have girls follow up with me in that same attitude too. So it's not really just a guy thing either. It's a possessiveness that I think it stems from emotional insecurity and abuse, really, when it comes down to it. And again, it goes back to that, as men, we don't know how to communicate those things, and so we trash a relationship. And then when the relationship's gone, it's like, no, I need that back, and you can't go anywhere else.
Right.
And so, if we break it all back down to the fact that we as men and women, but if we're talking men today, we have insecurities that we don't know how to address, or that we fail in communication on how to address. And I'm glad that there's more and more men out there rising up, like myself, like Terry, like Pastor, that are rising up to speak about this and to encourage the men in our community, the men in our culture, to actually be men again, because it addresses these insecurities of possessiveness and various other things like that to correct that problem.
All right. So listen, okay, guys. So right now we got 15 minutes or so, but the one to say I can go over, but I'm kind of a good steward, or I try to be. But I do have three more questions before the big one. So we're gonna run through these three really quickly. And the next one is kind of funny, right? So if you're watching this on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, whatever, throw your questions in the comments. We'll try to get those answered, or at least spoke upon before we leave out of here today. But here is the funny question. Fellas, why don't we pick up after ourselves when we get undressed? Who wants to answer that one? All right, Mo. Go ahead, you got to unmute yourself, Ramon.
Oh man, I can't do nothing but laugh, man. That's funny. Dude, my wife killed me every day with it, bro. She just did it like 30 minutes ago. I don't know, man. It's like, how they say the caveman does things in the cave. I just kind of feel like, I don't know, bro. I think it starts from childhood, man. I ain't gonna sit here and say that. I would say maybe it stemmed from that, a little bit of that, because when I was a kid, I mean, I did, because my parents were pretty strict on keeping the house clean, so I don't think that was the issue. I think as you get a little bit, quote unquote, free, as you get older, you get a little bit freer, so less things that you have to worry about. And then when you bring on a little bit of that extra baggage with you, you know what I mean by being men, we bring a little extra baggage, and sometimes it kind of to hang over that shoulder. You're like, oh, well, I'll just leave that down there. And then she comes and she says, well, why in the world did you leave the cabinet open? Or why is this and why is that? And then you just brush it off. So I think it just kind of stems from old baggage, man. That's just me.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Now, Pastor G, go ahead and unmute yourself, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now, Pastor G, now I know if I ask Minister Michelle, if I ask Pastor Michelle right now,
do I pick up after myself? Not always. Not always.
What you want to say? Go ahead, Andrew. I think you can unmute yourself on. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of have a weird problem. I come home and I'll go do the dishes and I'll go pick up the living room. And sometimes my wife has to say, sit your butt down. You've been at work all day. I'm doing this thing. So I don't know that I have that problem. I've never really been yelled at for that. Just because my own personality is coming in and just help her out because she's got kids. She's doing the mom thing.
Yeah. See, Melissa, and I know she's still in here. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't, but she'll tell you right quick. I jump in my clothes. I jump out of in the same spot. I'll just leave them there, and she was like, "Hey, can you just pick those up just a little bit? Can you just kind of spruce up a little bit?" But yeah, that's a good question. And the person that asked me that, she's not on the broadcast, and I'm gonna say I don't know. I'm like Ramon. I have no idea. We just do it, and we just drop it off and keep it moving. I don't know. JaVale, you have anything to add to that, bro?
Nah, man, I ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing to add to it because it really is. Yeah, I mean, it's a hit and miss. It's a hit and miss. It's some days you do leave it. Some days you're really picking up and going. So, nah, I really can't see any real consistency in it, man. So, nah, I ain't got too much to say on that one.
Gotcha.
Hey, Terry, somebody in the chat said, I leave mine there because I'm planning on wearing them again. Man, you gonna wear those dirty drawers again?
That's George, Andrew. You know what? I cannot. All right. So we're going to move on to the next question. So the next question is on the agenda real quick. is, and I had this come another female because I kind of polled women that were in my circle. I'm not figuring who that is. I know that's Andrew. I think. Hold on one second. All right. So the next question that I got was, why are men so afraid to show emotion? That's one of the questions that I got from a young lady. That's Travell. Okay, Travell. He's like that waving like he's.
Yeah. Because I got something to say on this one.
Go ahead.
That's not true. That's not true of all men. And that's one of the things that I knew. I knew at some point we would get to one of these that I could jump on and rip apart, because we love to say all men do this and all women do that. And when I was hollering at my wife and my daughter, we couldn't come up with no questions because we tend to, as a culture, throw that out there. How come men do this and how come women do that? And it's so untrue. You talked about my book release party last night. I cried like a baby and had no problem doing it.
Yeah.
When I preach, I cry. I have no problem doing it. When I talk to my wife and we go to that level, I have no problem crying in front of anyone. I have no problem showing my anger to anyone, showing my sentimental side to anyone. I'm transparent and I have no problem being at any point. If I'm happy, I'm happy. If I'm crying, I'm crying. If I'm emotional, I'm emotional. It's all good because I want you to have the authentic me in every moment that I'm with you. So I don't like those when it's just men this way or women that way. So I'm always waving my hand when we categorize in big bulks because it's just not true. So so I share my emotions. So yeah.
So I have to make sure that I word the questions correctly then, Terrell.
Okay.
Yeah,
because that ain't
like the time Melissa said just right here, because I don't mind showing emotion. If you guys would have seen me last Sunday, and to see my bride for the first time in her wedding dress, man, when I tell you I lost all sense of feeling in my toes, it was crazy because I'm like, Lord, I'm official, Jesus. That's what I'm thinking to myself. Andrew's laughing. I'm so serious. I was sitting there going, but it was crazy. But before then, I mean, I'm an emotional guy because I still cry when Scar kills Mufasa in Lion King. I sure do. I still cry when Bruce Willis dies at the end of Armageddon. I sure do. I still cry when Ricky dies at the end of Boys in the Hood. I sure do, because I'm that emotional type of guy. So I agree with you, Terrell. It's not true of all men because I have no problems. I have no problems.
Hey, I love the way Travell answered that. And I think that's a really good, valid point, is that we stereotype. When people do it along racial lines, we get upset. But between the sexes, we do it all. I'm going to say we do it all the time, but we do. We tend to stereotype it. And that's not accurate. That's not all men. Why do some men? Pride. Sometimes arrogance, sometimes pride can really mess us up. But I think a real woman, now you hear sometimes women say, I don't want no weak man. But you want him to be weak. You don't want him to be, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean by a weak man? If the man he keeps himself up nice, he takes good care of you, takes care of his home, takes care of his children, because he sheds a tear, he's weak, And so there's something that we need to discuss. We need to talk about that. And I love your response, Travell. Thank you.
Andrew?
So I'm gonna bring this back into as men, we're supposed to be warrior kings, kings of our homes. We're supposed to be warriors, right? But if you look at David was the warrior king example, right? In the scriptures. Now, all of the prophets were also written as weeping before God at some point. Even Jesus, when he was on earth, wept. And so, but the problem, again, it goes back to cultural teaching, is that we cannot show emotion. We cannot, because, and really it goes back to the 1900s, early 1900s, and even as far back as the Civil War, the way that men had to shut down everything they felt to go kill other men. And then that came into their families, and they, well, you don't cry, you don't do that, you don't do, and so you had to toughen up, and I've even caught myself saying that to my kids, you got to toughen up, just take a breath. But as warrior kings, we're supposed to fight, we're supposed to be aggressive, we're supposed to be out there, but then we forget also that David wrote an entire book of him being in bad places, and so we have to always remember that part, that a man is threefold. He's a warrior, he's a king, and he is a poet, so to speak. He is soft and sensitive, just as God, in the same way, is jealous of us, is fighting for us, but loves us completely and unconditionally.
And see, okay, that and all that's good. Like I said, me personally, I have no problems with showing emotion, and I'm still the king of my castle. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, my brother, this is my blood brother that's in here talking about I'm a crybaby. He ain't lying though, because I am. I will cry about stuff, but when it's time for me to put on um the serious face, when it's time for me to do what I need to do, you know, that goes away. And he want to come back with a joke, talking about I cry when somebody eats my last Oreo. Yeah, okay. Me too, brother. I sure do. All right, so my brother. So the next question that we got before we get to the big one. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm gearing up for the last question of the evening. Okay, but I got one more before we get to that, and I another question that was posed to me by the same young lady, and she says, "Why aren't some men, some SOME travail men? No, I'm kidding. Why aren't some men more romantic? Everybody on this panel, are you romantic? Are you that? Like, Ramon, go ahead and unmute yourself, Ramon. Ramon just
First thing came to my mind, man, I cleared us bloodline, bro. I mean, that's just me. My dad was born in the 50s. He was an old school player, but when I seen him at home, I mean, he was always the man of the house. I mean, I really never really seen. Now he would dance with my wife. I mean, with his wife. I'm sorry, he would dance with his wife. He would, but me, I'm gonna speak for myself. Me, it got to be like the right song or something like that. I mean, other than that, my wife gets on me about it a lot, and I don't know. I can't sway to that point. I don't know. Maybe this flesh has to get beat more to the point where I, I can start doing that. But I don't know, man. In all reality, guys, I think it comes with age. I would say, I know some guys a little younger than me got it, and then me, I'm 32. I'm just not at that level yet. I mean, I think I can turn it on and turn it off, but I'm not that one that can just turn it on, leave it there, and I'm like that 24/7. So I just put it like that. I'm in between the fence.
I want to hear from Horace real quick. Horace? Oh, can't hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
yeah, be good.
All right. Yeah. So the question was being romantic.
Yeah. Why aren't some men more romantic, like foot rubs and massages and such?
I think I would say it's more when it comes to being romantic. It's almost like I would say personally myself. It's a sensitivity. It's like being sensitive in a sense. So when you romantic, it's like you gotta put down every little guard and everything that the shield that you got up, the chest out and everything. You gotta put that down, and it's hard to turn that off and then turn that on for that sensitive, like the foot rub and then the sweet talking and everything like that. So me personally, I had an issue with that, and I still that's something I would have to work on, but it depends on the man. Times when I've been romantic also, where where I was told, okay, that was beautiful, that was nice, and I knew it because I was planning, but it's nothing. Yeah, like you said, you turn it on and off. It's like, yeah, it's hard to turn it on. I can do the foot rub, but I don't call that romantic. I just do it real quick. Here you go. You got, oh, feels good, awesome. But other than that, that's something I'm still learning myself. So I don't know. I really don't have an answer for it. So
All right. And my best friend, Courtney Fuel, says men have to show their love in different ways. I think it has to do with how they were raised and their experiences. And I've known Courtney for 20 plus years. She's known my ups and downs. And so she's absolutely correct. I think that the way my father loved my mother, my stepdad loved my mother, is the way I try to do now. But I've been through enough experiences in my life to know where it's wrong. So everything that I do now is like it's complete opposite. So I ain't done no foot rubs yet because Melissa's feet are big. No, I'm kidding. No, they're not big. I hope she's not listening. I'm sorry. She's gonna kill me, buddy. But anyway, romantic. The most romantic thing that I know to do is that forehead kiss. Women love that forehead kiss, but right up here, right here in the crease. They love that for some reason. I don't know. Anybody else? Before we get to the big one, let's see what's this going. Andrew, go ahead and unmute, bro.
I'll keep this one short, but Ricky Suave doesn't exist, man. Let me tell you that. But in the real sense, I mean, like the women kind of put down a lot to try to get romantic with us when we want it, I've found in my own life that it's more of a selfishness thing. If I want her to put out so much and I don't do anything back, then yeah, she's going to come at me going, dude, why aren't you romantic? Yeah, well, it's because she wants some actual non-sexual style interaction and stuff like that. And so it's a selfishness to it, I think, as well. That I think that as men, we really need to keep on guard. Pastor?
Thank you. Really great responses to that. I think the key is realizing that she wants that or that she needs that. Now, some women some don't really want a lot of romantic overtures. They're like us. Some women will say, look, I can do without a lot of touching. But there are other women who need that in order to be complete. And I think Andrew makes a very valid point, is that doesn't need to always lead to sex or be sexual. Right. Our children need to know how to understand a good touch from a bad touch, right? And they learn that at home from us. They know that different touch means approval. One touch, a swat on the behind, means that you are disapproval. And so that continues. It's a part of our communicating our love for our loved ones, is that we touch, we show a good touch. Sometimes I will just grab my wife and she's going through the house and I will sing to her or hum to her. Sometimes there's no music at all. And so when I realize that she wants that, that's what she needs in order to be complete, I have no problem giving that. And so we have to kind of retrain ourselves. Many of us did not grow up with all the little story tales and they lived happily ever after. Some of us did. That's why us older guys do that, because we know that a woman in the end, she needs to be comfortable. She needs to be taken care of. She needs to be loved. Let me give you one bad example of a person who got this wrong, and I'm done. Ike Turner, he did all of the wrong stuff. You'll never be nothing without me. You're ugly. You'll never be nothing without me. You won't make it without me. And Tina, she still got legs, 70 or 80, but she still got it. All right. So thank you.
I love that part of the movie. I'm glad you brought up Ike and Tina, because I love that part of the movie when he says, when it was in court, and he says, she says, I want to keep my name. He said, no. The name of my daddy's blood on it. You can go, but the name stays home. The name says that's one of my favorite movies. All right. So we are at the point of this particular man camp that I'm gonna throw my commercial back in here. I gotta pay the bill still, and then we're gonna crack open the last question. So while I'm doing that, if you have not yet shared this broadcast, I repeat it again. If you haven't shared this broadcast, this is the question that you don't want to miss. So make sure you got 10 seconds to do so. So go ahead and share it, share it, share it, share it. If you haven't, smash that like button on Facebook. Also, keep your questions coming, but we got the main question coming up. All right, so just bear with me just a second. All right, the last question of the evening. Why do men cheat? That's the biggest question. Every woman wants to know it. Why do men cheat? Who wants to start that one? Who wants to start? Who wants to start that? Travail. All right. Oh, why do some men cheat?
You know I was going there. You already know I was going there. Let me bring it real tight. You know I was going there. Yeah, you know I was going there because here I am. Here I am, ladies. Here I am, ladies. I ain't got enough time to go into my stories. But let me tell you one thing, man. That ain't going down. That is not a men cheat. Some men who ain't never learned how to appreciate women cheat. Appreciate women, like see their value, see their worth. So no, it is not all men. So I guess that's my stance tonight. I'm gonna be the guy that ain't us, that ain't all men. But real quick to say that but just to say one point to that. I forgot who said it earlier, but they said that I believe it was Andrew that talked about relationships where the women or the woman cheated on him. Coming up, there were multiple relationships that I was in where the girl stepped out on me. In fact, it was the last two relationships before I met my wife, where they both stepped out on me. For as long as I've lived, I'm 42 years old. For as long as I lived, I can honestly say Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, wherever this is broadcasting, I can say this with complete confidence and honesty. I've never cheated. I've never cheated. And that's not some badge of honor. It's just to say, don't put us in that category. All men don't cheat. 42 years of age. I've never cheated. I've been cheated on multiple times, but I've never cheated, including my wife of now 21 years. So I guess that's my stance tonight. That's my soapbox tonight. I ain't got a whole lot of advice, but my soapbox is stop putting us in them categories. It ain't all men.
I wish I had my truth bomb sound effect. I would play that right now. But that's
right.
So yeah, I love what you just said, but that is not my testimony because I was the opposite way. But we'll get to me. I'm gonna close it out. I'll get to me later. Horace, why do you think some men cheat, brother?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep. Good to go.
All right. Good. Yeah. Like my brother Travell, I would say the same thing. I mean, I'm in the same category. I mean, I grew up where I watched my father cheat with on my mother. You get what I'm saying? And my mother cheat on my father. So and when I'm older, I actually realized what was going on now. You know, at the time I didn't realize what was going on. And I could tell you right now that actually I think that put something in me where it let me know I seen what they went through. You get what I'm saying? I seen the pain they went through. And everyone like my brother just said, everyone I've been with, I would say the last three females I've been with before I married my wife, they all cheated, you know. And when you say it's like, no, all men don't. You get what I'm saying? I know a few men that don't. You get what I'm saying? I know some do, you know, and you know females that do also. So it's the same. It's like No, it's not every man cheating. You got some real men out here. You know, actually, I would say right here, my brother right here, and if someone else on here is the same way, that that's just being true. All men don't cheat. You don't have to cheat. I just believe if you do cheat, that's something in you. That's something in you that you got to work on. That
Absolutely.
it's an insecurity or something in that area. You know, and so if you're not secure with who you are, and that person actually cheats on you, that doesn't mean it has something to do with you. That's something that has something to do with inside them.
Absolute truth.
That's when I stand at.
Absolute facts right there. Ramon, you ready, or you wanna skip? Okay. We're gonna go ahead, Ramon.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of jump on that because I play both sides of the fence. I mean, I keep it real. I play both sides of the fence. Um, before my wife that I was with, I don't want to put out too much personal business, but I put out enough to keep it real with you guys.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I done it, and I kind of would say it goes to the fact to where I wouldn't say the insecurities. I would just say where you say, okay, it's just like, let's say you playing the game, right, and they got a cheat code. You wanted to put that cheat code in there and see how far you can go until you get caught, and then once they catch you, then now you got to start back all over again. And I kind of put it like that. I tried to have the cheat code and still try to eat my cake too. You see what I'm saying? And I was like, nah, you can't do that. Then over time, as you get older, you proceed, and there's only going to be a few women out there going to play that game. And it's very rare that you get a real woman, man, that's going to stick with you. And if you do, you better do the right thing. So I learned from my mistakes, man, and that's what I can say for myself. Played that game, tried it, it ain't gonna work. You can lose your whole family. Any guy out there, especially if you're married, if you're playing that game, cut it. Just cut it out. So with that being said, man, that's my take.
Let me tell you something real quick. We talk about cheat codes. Everybody here is of a certain age and remember that game on Nintendo called Contra. You remember that game, Contra? And you remember the cheat? You remember that cheat code on Contra? What was it? Up, right, up, down, left, right, BA start, select start. And we got those unlimited. That's what we did, and we tried to play that game, and we got caught. And we got caught every single time. Pastor G.
That's
Okay.
a great question. And I'm definitely with Travail that not all Travail that most that is not all men. If he hadn't went there, I was going to go there, and I would ask the same question in reverse: why do women cheat?
Mm.
And it's usually sometimes it's some of the same thing. For younger guys, I mean, when I'm saying younger, I'm talking about there's a group that it's a conquest. It's like attaining that level in the game. I'm seeing how far I can go before somebody says stop, or I'm seeing. And when a person is running from person to person, there's so much danger. Someone mentioned at the top of this the soul tie. I think that is really critical. Is that when you are sowing it, when you're dropping it here and there, you're losing a part of yourself. And I think that's most people. And I think if they realize that, how much of themselves they were losing, uh, maybe they just don't know. Maybe that's the answer, is that they just don't know the danger. Is because at some point they're going to have a relationship where it comes back on them, right? Sometimes women need to have attention, right? Men need attention. We both need it. But most of the times when a woman cheats, it's because she's not getting what she needs to have from a relationship. Okay. I won't say the same is true of men. A lot of different reasons. Some people really don't need an excuse. They really don't need a reason. They just do it. All right. It's a really broad question, but I'll stop right there.
Am I on? All right. So again, not a physical cheater, but I guess I can go down this road because I've got history in this road. Pornography's cheating too. And so, but again, not all men are subject to that. I actually have a friend of mine, and I was talking. You got to guard yourself with your girl. You got to guard yourself with watching anything. He says, but like sex isn't my thing. And it just kind of threw me back in there. I'm like, what do you mean you're a guy? Like, what do you mean sex isn't your thing? But it's like, no, he told me straight up. He's like, dude, if someone brought weed out in front of me, I would be all over that. But I am not like sex, whatever. You know what I mean? And so I think cheating wise, one, fear of rejection. And so you got to do it first, right? If things are getting rocky, you got to do it first. The other thing too, I mean, if you're just playing, I mean, some guys are just punks and they're jerks and they have no respect and no integrity. And that could have been the fact that they were never taught that. Not to give anybody an excuse. Everybody should know how to have a certain level of respect and integrity towards each person they're around. Women are the same way. Women are kind of dogs about it, though. I mean, they're pretty brutal when it comes down when they decide that they're going to step out and do that. It's pretty harsh, in my experience. But I don't know. That's what I would say is that either they weren't taught respect and integrity, or they just straight up don't care, or they have a fear of rejection, which that actually plays into pornography a lot more than it does going out and physically cheating.
You want to mute you or me? Okay, my bad. I think I muted myself and didn't look. All right, so my bad. I'm gonna kind of shut it off right here. So I'm gonna kind of uh put a bow on this thing, in this particular question. My testimony was I was a cheater, and there was no rhyme or reason to it. I was a cheater because I just wanted to do it. As when I was younger, that was my thing, and then once I got older, it was let me see if I still got it. Right? That was kind of let me see if I still can pull that little shorty over there. Come here, do that young tenderoni. I wanted to pull that. You know what I mean? But it always got me in trouble. It always got me in trouble because for somebody who is emotional like myself, I can't hold water. So it's like you can't do gangster stuff and not be gangster. You feel me? And so that was kind of the thing that happened with me. Um, let's see what Pastor Michelle say. Man, a woman can have some side dick for 20 years and a dude won't know. True that. Let me tell you something. This is a saying that I heard someone say. If you want to play the game, I'll show you the coach. And she got on a dress. You know what I'm saying? So be careful because the women can have that side dude, like she said, for 20 years and be rolling with it. We la 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 and just be going through it. Um, so that was my thing, and I cheated because I could. It wasn't no like I said, no rhyme or reason. I just cheated because I could. Nothing long and deep. No unicorn type reference. Just I wanted to cheat. I wanted to, and so hopefully, um, well, what happened with me is that I came to a place where I lost everything. So I'm hoping some man's listening to this right now because I got to the point where I lost everything: home, family, car, peace, joy, all that. Why? I still hear horrors. Let me put them on mute. Okay. All right. And I lost everything. And it took everything to get it back. I was in that mode of I was like Thanos. If anybody's ever watched Endgame or Infinity War, and she asked him, "Did you get it? Did you get everybody?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "What did it cost you?" Everything. And that was me because that 10 minutes, or in my case 5, but in that short period of time, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh. Nobody laughs. Okay. but but in that period of time though, I lost everything. Fellas, it's not worth it. It really isn't. I'm hoping that this Bandcamp panel tonight touched on something because everybody here had a different perspective, Everybody here had something that they added. That's some trifling mash. What my brother say? Some trifling mash for a woman to do that to a man. It's trifling, but it's just as trifling, bro. The other way around. And I totally feel what you're saying. And but anyways, I hope that that you got something from this. Who's in this private chat? Who's that? Yeah, that was Pastor Michelle. And get a piece from this. If you missed something, go back, watch the replay. So I went 20 minutes long. It's okay. Watch it in pieces because I'm going to reshare it late, probably tomorrow or later on tonight, so that way you guys can catch a nugget here or two. I know my man Travail CW always puts it down. Pastor G always puts it down. Ramon, he be surprising me if he putting it down. And then Andrew be doing. I had never heard Andrew speak outside of playing the guitar at church. Now this is something different. Horace, my brother, listen, we are as men that don't know each other one from another until this broadcast, because you and Terrell knew each other. Me and Pastor G and Andrew knew each other. But Ramon's the odd man out, kind of sort of, because me and Ramon on the same network, but we came together for this. And I would say this from one brother to another, and I think I can speak for the other four that are in here. We are praying for you. We are praying for whatever the enemy has taken from you, brother. God's going to restore. I feel that in my spirit. He's going to restore it. 10 times over. He's heard your cry. He's heard you say. He's heard your God why. He's heard all of that, because we've been in that place to where you've gone through something, and we say, Lord, what? Why me? Why do it to me? Why did that happen to me? God says, because there is something that you're supposed to catch and we didn't. And now sometimes God answers all prayers, even when the answer is no. But believe that he's going to restore everything the enemy took. But what we have to do as men is that we have to accept that and say, okay, God, I'm following you. Once we are in the realm of following you, everything else will fall into place. First thing we got to do as men is to get in line. First thing we got to do as men is to get in a position of complete and utter surrender. Now, if I'm saying something wrong, you guys stop me. Somebody chime in if I'm wrong. But we have to get into a place of utter surrender. That's where I was. And so God said, okay, son, I strung you along, and I kept the arrows of the enemy from you. But now you have no other choice now, because I've gone as far as I'm going to take you on grace. Now you got to get in line. Now you got to do it. And so it's kind of where I was. And then so last Sunday, I walked that aisle, and I saw my bride, and I married her. I rocked the ring. I'm like Beyonce every other day. I'm like, I'm online doing this number. You know what I'm saying? But it's a beautiful thing. So men, find the best thing in the lesson. That's absolutely true. My brother, and bro, you know I love you, bro. You can always call me. Let me tell you, men, fellas that are watching, queens who know men that need to be watching. It's okay. We all struggle. We've all fallen in this life. We've all made mistakes. But like I always say, it's never the falling down in life that makes you who you are. It's the getting up. You feel me? We've all fallen. We've all messed up. We've all made those mistakes. We've all done whatever. It's okay to fall, but what you can't do is stay there. You feel me? You can't stay there. All right. So that's wrap it up for me. Does anyone else have anything to say before we go? Any closing remarks? I'm gonna start with Pastor G. Go ahead. You can unmute.
Okay. Hey, thank you, Terry. Appreciate you hosting this. This has been great. We're glad to have an opportunity to share with you. We do have resources at our link at Linktree/marriage makes three. We also have resources at link/I am Pastor M. I have, I think, 3 books over there. My wife has a ministry book Those are 3 on ministry. We have 2 books together, 7 Keys to Better Sex in Your Marriage, and also Erogenous Zones, Exploring Marital Intimacy. So great gifts, wedding gifts. Thank you for letting me talk about them, plug them very quickly. I'll just show them, but check them out. And lots of broadcasts. We're on Tuesday through Thursday between 9 and 9:30 on Periscope, also Facebook Live and Instagram. Thanks for letting me be part of this.
Absolutely. Andrew?
Yeah, man. Thanks for letting me be on here. It was a pleasure. And just for all men and women out there, I mean, preferably men. Honestly, we're warrior kings, and just remember whose you are, not who you're trying to be.
Exactly. Mom?
Oh man, this excellent opportunity, man. I say it so much. It's one of my mottos, man. We back in the land of the living, so that means we got another opportunity to be able to get it right. So with that being said, humbly, guys, appreciate it.
All right. CW?
Yeah, man. Thanks again. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate your heart and your desire to just to bring men together and to create a platform. I think that this platform and conversations, the two-way conversations, I just want to say that I think that you're on to something, and that's something that I think needs to be brought back in this cyber world, social media world, man. We have a lot of content that are being shot out, but having conversation where people can have dialogue and people can ask questions and people can give responses and people can hear different perspectives, bruh. Just shout outs to you, man. I really appreciate you creating a format like this where it's people coming together all over the world and we can break bread, man, and we can share with each other, and not have to try to push content or push our opinion, but to engage with one another. I think that's where healing happens. I think that's where ministry happens, when people have a voice and people feel heard and people are able to express themselves, man. So my closing remarks, brother, is keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep inviting me. I'm always down. I just appreciate you, man, and love what you're doing. Like I said, prophetically and emphatically, brother, you are number one in the world, man. If you keep doing what you're doing, man, and God is blessing your path and God's blessing your way, man. So when I tell you that you're the world's number one podcast, I ain't playing, man. I ain't playing. You understand? Things before they are. All right. So I ain't playing with that, man. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep creating this platform for us, man. Salute you, brother. I appreciate you.
Check us out. And so you guys can reach Travail at imthepossible.com. He is also part of our brothers panel or group, the Brothers of Legacy Network on Facebook. So make sure, fellas, if you're listening to this and you want to join a safe haven for men, that was headed up and founded by A.D. Walker. And I did the page, but he is the architect of the Brothers of Legacy Network. We go live on Facebook. Not Facebook, but Periscope, Monday through Friday. You can always join at bit.ly/the Brothers of Legacy and take it right to the group. Ramon is on the Young Black Panthers Network. Ramon goes live, I don't know how many times a day, but he's always live. So follow Ramon on Facebook, and he's either doing street evangelism or he's in his truck doing his thing, and follow him because he had a. Let me tell you something, and we talking prophetically around here. Let me tell you something about Ramon King. Now, I've known Ramon for maybe 2-3 weeks now. The brother got a word in his belly. Travail, if you check him out, bro, contact. He got a word, and he is absolutely on fire. I'm telling you, Andrew, PG, listen, brother got a word in his belly. Please know that. All right. So, Horace, you're my last up. Any closing things? Any remarks? You hot, brother.
Yeah. Actually, no, not really. I mean, I just appreciate being on it with you guys today, and I appreciate everything that I'm taking from it, everything that I listen to all you brothers sharing. I mean, just sharing. Period. Just being open about things, and and me actually being able to be open with you guys and not feel anything about it, you know. So, I mean, this is my first podcast, first time on here with brothers, and so I just appreciate it all, you know what I mean? And it's a blessing to me.
Well, we're glad to have you on, and you know what? And I want to thank all of my panelists tonight, Pastor Greg, Andrew, Ramon, Travell, Horace. Thank you guys for coming on and taking part of this panel. I will be doing this. This will be a monthly forum. I just made that decision. It's going to be every once a month because it's hard getting 7 brothers together at one time. So so we're going to do this once a month. Next month, the forum will take place on the same date. So today is the third Sunday. The third Sunday or fourth Sunday? Fourth Sunday. So the fourth Sunday in every month, we'll do the men's panel on here. I want to thank President and CEO of the Young Brothers Black Panthers Network, Devontae Goins, who's probably gone from here now, but he allowed me to stay on for another for as long as I wanted to. He called me earlier and was like, "You stay on as long as you need to. This is a good forum. You still need." So I'm like, all right, cool. Thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate y'all. I want to throw my commercial on. I didn't throw it on before, so hold on before I go. I gotta pay these bills, man. They get mad at me. Don't pay the bills. So hold on. Like, come on. There he goes.
I stay cooler than the Chi-Town breeze, but hyper like I'm at the World Cup overseas. Do rag for waves with me, gotta stay fresh. I never leave home without it like American Express. I'm feeling kinda old school, how about you? If you're feeling how I'm feeling, this is what you do. Throw it up, 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 throw it up. Hey, yeah.
All right. And that's going to do it for me here at the Common Sense Show TV. Man Camp 2019. Thank you guys for coming through. I really appreciate you. For all the guys who have watched on Periscope and that's watching on YouTube and my personal Facebook page, thank you. All the comments, the questions, my little brother coming through, I appreciate you. You guys have a great rest of your evening. Guys, hang tight for me. Don't leave yet. I'm going to end the broadcast. So you guys have a great one. And remember what I always say at the Common Sense Show. Listen, forgive yourself, forgive them, and move on. All right. Use more common sense. You guys have a great Sunday. We'll see you next week. All right. Peace.